Hey guys, John here. Today we are in Diva, and today we're going to be making an ARP that I called Foggy Hills. Now, it kind of has a transienty aspect to it, but it also has a roundness to it that's kind of like a string, so this is what that sounds like. Yeah, very interesting one too as well, especially lower notes as well. The reverb has an interesting effect on it as well. Okay, so let's get in and make this here in real time. So let's right click, go to a new preset, and maybe since we're in Diva, it might be kind of interesting to kind of just set out our panels first and then kind of work our way that way. So the first one's going to be the MS-20. So let's go ahead and change it to the VCO Eco. And then we have the high pass frequency post. So let's go to high pass frequency post, and then the multi-mode over here for our filter. And then for the envelopes, we're going digital and analog. So digital and then analog. Okay. So what we can actually do is bring our cutoff to 70 just so we don't blow our head off here. Okay. All right. So for the first one here, we don't really need to worry about our tune mods, so we can skip over these. So our first oscillator is going to be this pulse here. So let's switch this to the pulse, and the pulse width is going to be 73. And then our octaves are going to be 4. And then for the next one, actually, we need to bring the first one down here, and you'll see why in a second. Now, the second one is going to be ring. And then the detune is going to be 1906, which is kind of funny because we're just going up 2 octaves. And then we're bringing this down to 1906. As it kind of starts getting a little bit clearer. Okay, so we're pretty much good here. Now we need to bring our boost all the way up to 2. So we don't really need that much of that low end. Our resonance here is going to be 28.5. 0.5, there we go. And our filter is actually going to be a band pass, not a low pass. Now we need to do some modulation here. So before we get to this knob here, let's bring our keyboard up to 81.5. 81.5, here we go. We can bring this back up as well. Okay, so envelope 2, we're going to be modulating the full amount here at 120. And we need to set up our envelope. So for our main amp envelope, it's going to be 1. For the attack and decay is going to be 50. So these are going to be fine. And the sustain is going to be all the way down. We don't need sustain. And then 47 for the release. I said 47, right? Yeah, 47 for the release here. Now for our filter envelope. So this one's going to be kind of where the, I guess, meat and potatoes of the whole sound comes from. So 0 on the attack. So bring that down to 0, not 1. And then for our decay is going to be 11. And then our sustain 0. And our release is going to be 3. And there we go. Here we go. So we have something kind of like that. Doing a little bit of modulation here for the LFO, so -6 on LFO2. So let's go -6, and let's take a look and see actually what the LFO2 is doing. So phase is going to be 0, and the delay is going to be 0 as well, so we don't have to worry about that. But we're changing this to 1 second, so let's go over here and select 1 second. Okay, so we might have noticed that our transposition is down 2 octaves because our transpose is down over here, and up here it is 12. So if we place them here, it's much higher than here. Although it's a kind of a cool bass sound, but we need to change this to +12, so click this here. All right, have effects on. Let's turn these guys off. It's a little deceiving. All right. Now this is an ARP. So we need to go ahead and set that up here. So let's move this a little bit to the left like that so we can kind of see what's going on. So our clock is going to be 1/8, and that is going to be fine. We need to turn this on. Sync is great. Our mode is going to be up, and it's going to be serial, octaves 1. So there's really not much we have to set up here. Let's level match this here now that we're pretty much in the ballpark. Okay, so we're pretty good here. So now I think we are ready for some effects. Okay, so we're using a plate and another plate. So 2 plates. So hopefully we're getting hungry here. So we can kind of see the data display there. Okay, I think that should be good. Yeah, we actually go a little bit more to the left. Okay. So our first one is going to be not a chorus, but like I said, a plate. And some of these settings are going to be kind of work with each other. So hopefully we might have to tab a little back and forth, but that's okay. Okay, so our pre-delay on the first one is going to be 0. That's fine. Diffusion, 100%. That's fine. Most of that's going to be pretty close. So 91, and bring up the damp from 91. Let's turn this on here. Dry is going to be 100%, so let's bring that up to 100. And then our wet is going to be 29. Now let's check our decay and our size. Our decay is 17.5. And then our size, how big are we? Actually, we're quite small. Okay, 38%, you know. So this one, the interesting spot about these two reverbs is that if we look at this first one, we see the decay and the size is pretty low, but on the second one, it's kind of a little bit bigger here. So we're kind of using like a little room within a room. It's kind of a really weird concept. So if we turn this off, we do have the release tail a little bit up here, right at 47, but once we turn the plate on, it kind of gives us a little bit of a room. And it's subtle, and it's supposed to be that way because this one's kind of just doing a little bit of interesting stuff. The second reverb is actually what's really carrying a lot of that reverby weight. But we do want to be careful with reverb on an ARP here because we don't want it to be too excessive. So that's kind of the different renditions I was doing, kind of just dialing in the reverb just right for something like this. Okay, so the second one here, obviously another plate, so let's turn this on. Pre-delay is going to be 12, so let's bring this up to 12. Diffusion, 92.5, so let's bring this down 92.5. And then we have our dampening at 84.5, so 84.5, something like that. And then we have our dry at 100%, I think, right? I always do 100%, yeah. 100% on our dry, and then our wet is going to be 24.5, so bring this down, 24.5. Something like that. All right, so now we have to look at our decay, which is 46.5. 46.5, so we're close. There we I keep asking, Jesus. Okay, there we go. And then our size is going to be 118, so kind of bring this down from the default, so 118, something like that here. Let's turn our reverbs back on here. So pretty identical here. So it's really not too difficult to make, but the thing is with Diva, man, if you just spend a little bit of time and make sure every kind of section sounds pretty decently good and kind of build upon each other, it just sounds great out of the box. But you can always put on multi-core just in case you want to save your computer, because with the sound of how good it sounds, it does cost CPU. So that's kind of, that's the trade-off there. So that's pretty much how that patch is made, and it sounds like this in context. For some reason, it just reminds me of those foggy hills, right, with the fog rolling in through the trees, kind of that whole vibe there. But yeah, so if you want to get this patch for free, there's a link in the video description below, and it can be yours. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next video.